9:28 in the morning, and here's my piece of carrot cake to celebrate completing my draft. Homemade delicious, yay! Hey to all the peeps on the interwebs. I'm Ames the writer, an aspiring YA, new adult, and middle grade author. I just finished my current work in progress called Something Starlight, and I wanted to talk about it. Yay! Here's my celebration dance, even though I can't dance very well. I'm so excited. I'm currently on a 2-week mandatory writing break to prepare for draft 2. My goal was to be done by March the 6th or March the 12th, kind of just depending. March was going to be full of distractions for me because BTS was having their comeback this month. I'm BTS Army here. Just wanted to show off my bomb, my BTS bomb here. See if it'll work. I've been a fan of BTS since 2015. I don't play. I do not play. Zootopia 2 also dropped on streaming, and One Piece live action also dropped on Netflix. So I knew that there were going to be plenty of distractions this month, and I didn't quite meet my goal, but I did meet my overall quarterly goal, which was to finish by the end of March. I had to draw a line in the sand with myself and say, if you're not done by March 22nd, we have to call it anyway for the 2-week break because I need as much time as possible in April to start the second draft process. Overall stats, when it comes to finishing the draft, this took me a little over a year. So I'm no one's role model there, but I am definitely a slow drafter. So you got to use what time you have. I primarily use Google Docs and my phone to draft. I don't have a lot of time to actually get in front of a computer, so I primarily used my phone, and I gotta say it was a game changer for me. My intended word count was 90,000 words, and I made it to 89,342 words, so basically there. I really wish I would have started AuthorTube earlier so that I could share more of the writing process, but I knew for the second drafting process that it was going to be way more work than the first drafting process. So starting my AuthorTube journey in January, I thought would be perfect. Starting my AuthorTube channel in January was intended to give me a whole year to start on my second draft process. So this first draft really proved to be, I guess what it was supposed to be, a fast draft / zero draft, even though I wasn't very fast with it. So now I have a whole year to take you guys along with me as I continue the second draft process, which I think for me is probably going to be the most difficult part of the writing for me. The second draft method I'm using is based on a book called 7 First Drafts. And it's a fairly intense process of going back over your draft 7 times or more and fixing certain things at a time. Like you might be going over story structure and plot with one pass. The next pass might be character arcs. I thought it would be really helpful for me because of the type of writer I am. So hopefully we'll see if that pays off. Word goals can work. I gave up on keeping track of word count some time ago because I felt like you could put anything into a manuscript, and if it wasn't useful towards your plot, then you kind of just wasted words. But hey, you still had your overall word count, but you didn't do something useful, if that makes sense. Editing aims from the future. I realized that I didn't really explain that very well, so let me see if I can explain this a little better. Often when I was writing, I found that I was going back to just fluff and buff out certain scenes, and I would get so frustrated because I wasn't making any forward momentum. I just added words to scenes that had already existed. So that's kind of why I stopped using word counts. But what I figured out over time is that you really need to understand how scenes work. Every scene needs a goal, every scene needs conflict, and every scene needs a resolution or a reversal that somehow moves the plot forward. Every scene is like the smallest unit of change in a story. Once I understood the purpose of a scene and I started actually putting that into work in my draft, I felt like the words were more intentional because the scenes were more intentional, and it was easier for me to record my word count as a measure of my progress because, oh my gosh, I had actually done something in the draft. Lesson 2 for me is that you don't always need a dedicated workspace. Again, I drafted on my phone. This is my husband's workspace with these glorious 3 screens, but I have a crib that's like a little less than 6 feet away because I've got my kid with me here. So I really can't work here either. I think it's amazing if you do have your own writing space. That's the goal at some point, is have my own dedicated writing space. That is the goal. That is the dream. But right now, I don't want to stop chasing my dream of being an author because I don't have the space where I need to write. So at this point, it's like, how bad do you want it? Make it work with what you have. And the third and final thing I learned was that you can't wait for the perfect time or the perfect circumstances. If I'm waiting to draft for things to get quiet or for kids to go down for a nap, sometimes life be life and things come up. There's an expression that I like, which is we make plans and God laughs. So any best laid writing plans that you have can definitely be derailed. You can't wait for the perfect time, or you just really have to go for it. If you're anything like me, maybe you've been lamenting about the time it has taken you to either start writing or to finish a first draft. I was really inspired by this meme I saw online of Samuel L. Jackson. He didn't get his big break until the 1994 hit Pulp Fiction, which is like an American classic now, and he was 40 at the time. And he is one of the highest grossing actors, and he has continued to go up and up and up in his career. So I just want to remind anybody out there who's writing, no matter how old you are, it's never too late or too early to start, and you can find success no matter how old you are. Well, that's it for me. This has been my first draft writing wrap up. I'll be in my 2-week sabbatical from writing, and I'll be back with another video where I detail the 7 draft process. And I'm going to talk a little bit about the query letter that I wrote and had critiqued and was totally not ready for, and my draft was not finished yet. So that's going to be fun. Happy writing, guys. Just wanted to share these lovely roses that came out of my garden just yesterday. So pretty.